From broken immigrant to empire builder. The shocking truth that toppled governments forever in a gritty corner of the city, where shadows creep in like a thick fog, a whisper sent chills down spines. A man once a ghost, now a titan stood at the center of it all. His rise from nothing left tongues wagging and hearts racing. He started with empty pockets and a dream as wild as a tempest. But how does a broken immigrant craft an empire that shakes the very foundations of power? As the sun dipped below the skyline, casting an eerie orange glow, people gathered, fingers pointing, eyes gleaming with both admiration and fear. The local gossip ignited like a spark. Tales of his past twisted into legends. They said he learned the secrets of the elite, bending their rules to his advantage. Some claimed he had connections to the underworld, a network that thrived in the shadows. Others swore they saw him reading ancient texts in dim-lit libraries, furiously jotting secrets that felt too dangerous to utter. What was his true power? What dark forces did he harness? Just as the tension peaked, a sudden shout shattered the air. A nearby window shattered, sending shards flying, and all eyes turned toward the chaos. Or were they watching him? There it was, the paralyzing moment when a crowd held its breath. What were they really afraid of? The man, the ideology, or something unknown lurking in the darkness? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon, and while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Then, just as the din of whispers grew louder, a mysterious figure slipped through the throng. Who was this newcomer and what message did he bring? This was no ordinary soul. Rumors swirled before him, each one more bizarre than the last. Some said he was a prophet, others a harbinger of doom. The tension wrapped tightly around the gathering like a vice, the uncertainty cutting deeper than any blade. And as he neared the empire builder, everything seemed poised on the brink of eruption, as if the whole world was about to change in an instant. But why? What was at stake? And who would ultimately be consumed in this game of power? In that very moment, any answer felt just out of reach, like a mirage fading into the darker alleyways of the city. What revelation would follow? The night was young, but danger lurked in every heartbeat, every breath. Who would emerge unscathed when the truth was finally laid bare? The crowd held its breath as the mysterious figure drew closer, his dark coat flapping around him like the wings of a raven. The faint light glinted off a silver medallion around his neck, an intricate design that looked familiar, but no one could place it. Fear and curiosity danced in the air as the man froze in place, eyes locked onto the empire builder. Do you wish to know the truth? The newcomer spoke, voice low but clear, cutting through the murmurs. It felt like an incantation, invoking a spell that gripped hearts. The crowd leaned in, hoping for answers but bracing for the weight of revelation. Before the empire builder could respond, a sudden commotion erupted. A nearby car alarm blared, lights flashing wildly. A figure sprinted down the street, panic etched in their face, eyes darting with a blend of terror and determination. The throng parted, a wave of bodies shoving back, unsure whether to flee or stand firm. Breathe, everyone, shouted an older woman, her voice strained yet commanding. It's just a child. But the urgency in her tone couldn't conceal the truth that loomed over them. This was no ordinary night in the city. The foundations were trembling, ready to shatter. The empire builder stood rooted, a pit forming in his stomach. He de-built this world, but now it felt like it was slipping away beneath him. He had attracted attention, perhaps too much attention. What do you know? He finally demanded, eyes narrowed on the figure. What is your business here? The figure's cracked lips curled into a smirk. What I know will change everything you believe. This city, it's rotting from the inside. You, of all people, should understand the value of the truth. It's all a facade. As he spoke, the crowd buzzed with a mix of disbelief and intrigue. Whispers flickered like wild flames. Could it be a puppeteer pulling strings hidden in plain sight? Then, as the enigmatic man stepped forward, his voice lowered to a conspiratorial whisper. You've fallen into their game. They'll come for you, and soon. Beware the ones who smile the brightest. They hide their blades well. A low murmur rippled through the crowd, questions bouncing back and forth. Who were they? The thought hung heavy like smoke in the air, suffocating clarity. The lights from the street lamps flickered strangely, casting strange shadows that twisted into dark figures. Enough! Erupted the empire builder, pushing through the crowd, desperation turning to anger. Do you have proof? Because I won't be swayed by riddles. Your warnings mean nothing. But just as he challenged the stranger, a deafening clap echoed from the alley behind the sickening crack of a gunshot. Instantly silence fell. Eyes widened, hearts raced. It was the kind of silence that came before the storm, heavy and full of dread. In a heartbeat, people scattered like leaves in a whirlwind, fear erupting as they sought safety. The empire builder's instincts kicked in, forcing himself to scan the chaos for answers. His pulse quickened. Who fired that shot? And why did it feel directed at him? But the figure, was he friend or foe? As the dust settled, he vanished into the night, leaving only lingering questions and a terrified crowd behind. The empire builder turned, breath quickening, aware of the new reality threatening to engulf him. He had built an empire, but now he stood before a battlefield, the pieces rapidly falling into place. Who would remain standing when the final shot was fired? The chaos hung thick in the air, sharp and heavy, like smoke from a distant fire. The air felt electric, as if every heartbeat thudded to the rhythm of impending doom. The empire builder's eyes darted through the crowd, seeking familiarity in the panicked faces. Were they fleeing from the gunshot or from something else lurking in the shadows? He wove through the turmoil, his heart pounding against his ribcage, drowning out all rational thought. One thing was clear. The man in the coat wasn't just a wild card. He was a harbinger of something far more sinister than the rumors that had circulated through the dregs of the city. The nearby buildings loomed like silent spectators, their dark windows reflecting the unfolding madness. Where was the child they'd spoken of, the one that had ignited this hysteria? Desperate cries pierced the air, desperate and raw. Help! Someone please! That voice pulled him like a siren's call. He followed the sound, his instincts kicking into hyperdrive. Rounding a corner, he halted. There, crouched against a wall, was the child, a boy, no more than 10, clutching a disheveled teddy bear. His wide eyes glistened with fear, mirroring a world he couldn't comprehend. Hey, it's okay, the empire builder whispered, kneeling down to meet the boy's gaze. We need to get you out of here. But just as he reached out, a figure materialized in the alleyway, dark and looming. It was the man in the coat. The crowd's noise faded into a low hum as time slowed. He found you, didn't he? The stranger's voice was a hiss, laced with a twisted grin. Poor boy playing his part in a game he cannot comprehend. Who are you? The empire builder demanded, rising to shield the child. What do you want with him? The man stepped closer, his coat swirling like a tempest. I seek the truth of this city, it's all a tangled web. And your empire? Just one strand ready to snap. But that's not what you should be worried about. It's the ones who raised you, the ones you trust. Stop. What are you saying? The empire builder felt the dread seep in, cold and consuming. We all have secrets, but some are darker than shadows. They watch you, and soon they will make their move. That pulse of urgency surged again, cutting through confusion, pushing the empire builder to act. He grabbed the boy's arm, ready to flee, but the child shrank back. No, I can't leave here. Why not? Terror swelled in his chest. I heard their voices, they're coming. The boy was trembling, eyes widening with every word. Before the empire builder could respond, the echoes of footsteps clattered against the pavement, eerie and deliberate. He exchanged a glance with the man in the coat, who smirked, sensing his struggle. Run or stay, the stranger sneered. The choice is yours. But remember, boy, knowledge is a double-edged sword. With that, he melted into the shadows, leaving behind nothing but the echo of his chilling laughter. The footsteps grew louder, relentless, and cold. The empire builder felt a knot in his stomach. There was no time to think. He yanked the boy close, securing him tightly against his side. He had to protect the last vestige of innocence left in this twisted tale. But before they could bolt, a familiar face burst onto the scene from the chaos, a woman, fierce and determined, the empire builder's loyal confidant. They're coming for you. We need to go now. But who was they? The question clawed at his mind painfully, as dread painted the air thick. Suddenly, reality twisted like a knife. The empire builder's empire was built on illusions. Exactly what was he willing to lose to uncover the truth buried beneath the rubble? As he hesitated, staring into the boy's frightened eyes, the shadows crept closer. What lay ahead promised only darkness. And not even the empire builder knew how deep their roots reached. But one thing was clear: the moment of reckoning was drawing near. Would he face it head-on or turn away from the truth, unraveling all he had ever built? In that moment of uncertainty, a scream shattered the air, echoing through the alleyways and leaving. The empire builder gripped by fear. Had the time finally come for everything to change? The echoes of the scream hung in the air like a whisper of danger, sending a sharp chill racing down the empire builder's spine. He had no time to waste. The voices outside were growing louder, a cacophony of chaos threatening to swallow them whole. Now, we have to move, the woman shouted, her eyes blazing with urgency. He nodded, heart racing, and without hesitation, he turned to the boy. We're leaving. Stick close. As they dashed toward the alley's mouth, a shadow flickered from behind a dumpster, dark and menacing. The empire builder's instincts flared up. They could not be caught here. Just a few more steps, he urged himself. He could practically taste the freedom waiting just outside. Then, the footsteps intensified. They're coming. The boy whimpered, his little frame quaking against the empire builder's side. They're closer. I can hear them. Stop. Just hold on to me, he urged, trying to silence the gnawing panic stirring in his own gut. He felt like a man teetering on the edge of a cliff, every heartbeat urging him to leap despite his fear of the fall. The woman led the way, darting to the left, her instincts sharp as a hunter's blade. He followed, the boy squeezed tight against him, trusting. They broke free into an open street, the light almost blinding after the claustrophobic darkness of the alley. But the safety was short-lived. Across the road, a group loomed, faces concealed behind masks. Their stance was predatory, eyes scanning the crowd with clinical precision. The empire builder's gut twisted. What the hell is going on? He muttered. They've come for you, the woman snarled as she spotted the figures. Wrenching her gaze back to the empire builder, she added, we need to find a place to hide. Quickly. The boy, still trembling, tugged at his sleeve. There's an old record store nearby, he said, voice small but earnest. They want to look there. Amidst the noise of the city spiraling into panic, the empire builder nodded, desperation fusing with determination. Lead the way. As they ran, snippets of shattered conversations husked around them. Did you hear? They're cracking down. Said they'd take him out. A tidal wave of fear rippled through the crowd, fueling the urgency of their escape. They ducked down a narrow side street, pushing past broken crates and garbage. The record store appeared like a beacon amid the chaos, its neon sign flickering with an eerie glow. Almost there, he yelled, adrenaline surging, heart in his throat. Just a few more seconds, and they could know. He froze as a figure emerged from the shadows, blocking their way. The man in the coat stood tall, arms crossed, the semblance of calm increasing the tension tenfold. Did you really think you could escape me? He taunted, that godforsaken grin plastered across his face. Let us go, the empire builder shouted, feeling the weight of the boy's grip tighten around him. He glared at the man. This isn't about you. You want your game? Leave him out of it. The man chuckled darkly, reveling in their plight. Oh, but that's where you're wrong. He the key. You see, every empire has its foundation. And yours? It's built on secrets and broken trust. With a sudden motion, he flicked his wrist, sending a single object spiraling through the air, a shard of glass that narrowly missed the empire builder, embedding itself into the wall behind him with a shatter that echoed across the street. Panic surged. The crowd moved like a tide, pressing in from all sides. The woman shoved the boy behind her. We're not playing your game. The empire builder locked eyes with the man in the coat, their fates intertwined in an intricate dance of threats and danger. I will not stand by while you destroy what's left of this city. In a flash, the air thickened with tension, mounting high with each passing moment. The choice hovered like a knife's edge, each second teetering closer to calamity. Suddenly, a different noise sliced through the air, a metallic thud, followed by another scream, this one distinctly human and full of agony. An onlooker had fallen, and the tension snapped. Go! The woman shouted. Now! But as they turned to run, the empire builder's heart sank deep into his soul. Darkness loomed ahead. This was just the beginning, and the truth was about to crash over him like a relentless wave. What hidden revelations awaited them in that record store? Would he find the answers he sought, or merely dive deeper into the darkness? The empire builder's pulse thundered in his ears as they dashed past the figure in the coat, each footfall echoing with a desperate urgency. He risked a glance over his shoulder but saw only a blur of masked faces in the distance. The chaos swelled behind them, a storm of whispers and screams spiraling into the night. He could still hear the man's taunting laughter trailing off, chilling his blood. Faster! The woman urged, dragging the boy with her as they slipped through the door of the record store. The scent of old vinyl and dust filled the air, comforting yet haunting. The empire builder took stock of their surroundings. The cramped space was lined with shelves, their surfaces cluttered with worn records, all awaiting someone who might never return. Hastily, they ducked behind a tall display, the woman pulling the boy close as they crouched in the shadows. The empire builder's breath was ragged, his mind racing. What now? He whispered, lifting his gaze toward the glass front window, searching for the shadows outside. No one comes in here unless they have to, the boy whispered, his eyes wider than saucers. It's safe for now. The chilling words echoed for now. They had to find a way out, a way to escape this rising tide of terror creeping closer. The store felt both a sanctuary and a trap. Silence wrapped around them like a thin veil, but even silence had a way of distorting reality in this fragile moment. Suddenly, the sound of the door chimes jingled sharply, slicing through the tension. The woman stiffened, and the empire builder could barely hear a measured voice speak just outside. We know you're in there. You can't hide forever. Panic seized him. They followed us. Stay quiet, the woman hissed, shaking her head to calm the boy. In that moment of stillness, the empire builder could almost sense the weight of fate leaning in closer, as if the very air was listening, waiting, ready to pounce. That he peered through the narrow crack between the shelves, holding his breath. For masked figures loomed outside, filling the storefront with their dark threats. One knelt, running fingers along the window's edge. It's just a matter of time, he said, almost conversationally. We'll find you, and when we do, your little empire will crumble. The empire builder could feel the heat of anger igniting inside him. But anger alone wouldn't save them. He needed a plan, a desperate gamble to turn the tables before it was too late. Listen, he whispered, turning to the woman. We need to create a distraction and slip out the back. There's another exit back there, right? She nodded, eyes darting between the door and the crates stacked haphazardly nearby. Just be quick. We can't let them catch us here. The boy's voice trembled. What if they find us? Holding the boy's gaze steady, the empire builder offered a reassuring smile, though fear twisted in his gut. Trust me, we'll make it. Promise. Now, the woman said suddenly. She grabbed a nearby record and hurled it hard against the front window. The crack shattered the silence, the sound resonating in a chaotic symphony. Go, she shouted, shoving the boy towards the back of the store. As the empire builder turned, adrenaline fueled him as they bolted down the narrow passage, racing towards the rear exit. The crashing sound and the cries from the outside made their hearts pound louder, urgency filling their world with electricity. Just as they reached the door, it burst open. A figure cloaked in the shadows stood silhouetted against the flickering lights behind them. Going somewhere? He sneered with a chilling delight that froze them in place. Run! The empire builder bellowed, shoving the boy and woman ahead of him. But he couldn't escape the gripping sensation that this was all leading somewhere inexorable. A truth he wasn't ready to face as they sprinted into the night, fleeing into the chilled air outside. A familiar question echoed painfully in his head. What truths awaited them that could shatter their fragile hopes? They weren't just escaping. They were stepping into a storm. Would they be swept away, or could they stand against the winds of fate? The night air pressed in around them as they bolted down the alley, the echoes of their sprint drowned by the pulsing thrum of their hearts. The empire builder dared not look back, but each hurried breath churned a knot of dread in his chest. Over there, the woman pointed to a jagged opening at the end of the narrow path, barely illuminated by a flickering streetlight. The boy squeezed her hand tighter, cheeks flushed with fear, but resolve shone in her eyes. They sprinted as if the shadows themselves pursued them, ghostly fingers reaching in a desperate embrace. The street opened up ahead, a deserted plaza where only the distant sound of sirens and occasional shouts broke the silence. It felt eerie, this sudden space, as though they had stepped into a world suspended between reality and nightmare. The empire builder finally glanced back, and his stomach dropped. The cloaked figure stood at the exit of the alley, flanked by two others who looked ready to pounce. The masked men exchanged glances, revealing hints of wicked glee. The empire builder had seen their kind before, predators that thrived on fear. The laughter echoed in his mind, a constant reminder that evasion alone wouldn't free them. With a grim determination, he led the charge into the plaza, adrenaline pushing them forward. This way, he barked. They zigzagged between cracked stones and graffiti-laden walls, searching for anything. Another alley, a hiding spot. The woman clutched her son close, her focus fierce, unwilling to let anything shatter their fragile alliance. Help! A voice suddenly broke through their escape, a frantic scream that cut through the tension like glass shattering. A group of young men, cornered by more masked figures, fought desperately. The chaos drew the empire builder's attention. Should we help them? A voice echoed in his head, just amid the chaos. Time hung heavy like thick fog. He knew the risk. His instincts screamed to flee, to continue running towards safety. Yet humanity clawed at him. We can't just leave them, he shouted, already moving toward the conflict. What are you doing? The woman whispered, panic creeping into her voice. Sometimes it requires a risk. If we can help. The empire builder's voice trailed off, certainty fading as he weighed the cost of a moment's kindness. The boy's eyes widened in horror, caught between fear and his mother's whisper of restraint. Then the decision was thrust upon them. A masked assailant broke through from the shadows with a knife gleaming under the pallid light. The empire builder's heart raced. There was no time to debate. This was life or death. Move! He shouted as he leaped into action, adrenaline fueling his veins. He charged into the throng, trying to position himself as a shield. But as he grappled with one attacker, he felt the fleeting grasp of hope begin to slip away. Two others advanced, their intent evident. The woman rushed to the boy, crouching down, her heart hammering. Stay close, she commanded, watching with a mix of dread and desperation. Then he saw it, a fleeting moment, a chance. A discarded metal pipe lay just inches from his foot. As he deflected another blow, he grasped it, swinging it toward his assailant with all the force he could muster. The crack of metal against bone resonated, sending shockwaves through his arm. In the chaos, the world narrowed to this moment. But the shadows loomed heavier than before, and his victory felt temporary. Each breath filled with the stench of sweat and despair. Danger lurked just beyond reach, pulling closer, whispering threats that nagged at his consciousness. Run! He shouted, urgency igniting his words. They had to escape. The masked figures were regrouping, and every second counted. But would they make it? The empire builder shot a glance toward the woman and boy, their faces strained with uncertainty. The night had become a battleground, and in this fleeting moment, he realized something deeper, something that would haunt him long after the shadows faded. Sometimes, the fight you choose is the one that defines you. Forward. Now, he urged, and as they ran, he could feel the weight of their choices tracing them, choices that would lead them down a perilous path to revelations none of them were prepared for. Would they find safety, or further plunge into a darkness they couldn't escape? They dashed deeper into the night, the relentless chase keeping them just ahead of their fears. The question haunted him. Could they truly outpace the darkness that sought to consume them? The plaza seemed to stretch endlessly, each step pitched with uncertainty. Shadows danced in the periphery, flickering like flames as they moved deeper into the night. The empire builder glanced back, but they were gone. For now. Where do we go? The woman's breath came in sharp gasps, her eyes darting, scanning for any hidden threats. The boy was silent, his small hand gripping his mother's tightly, as if the pressure alone could shield him from the horror. Just keep moving, he urged, stifling the tension that threatened to bubble over. We need to find a place to hide. Ahead, the outlines of an abandoned building loomed. Broken windows stared like empty eyes. The empire builder hesitated. Something nagged at him. Was it refuge or a trap? As loud voices echoed in the distance, he turned to the woman. We don't have a choice. They crept inside. The interior felt like a tomb, cold, dark, and thick with dust. The wooden floor creaked underfoot, amplifying every sound in their confined space. The empire builder's heart hammered harder. They pressed against the wall, taking shallow breaths. Did we lose them? The woman whispered, her wide eyes fixed on the door. Not yet, he replied. Silence wrapped around them, but it was restless, ready to shatter at any moment. Just as they began to think they might be safe, a noise pierced the quiet, the scuffle of shoes on gravel. Over there. The woman's voice quivered, tremors radiating through her fingertips still tightening around the boy's hand. The empire builder turned instinctively, trying to listen. The voices were closer, the laughter cruel, almost taunting. They're searching, he muttered, fear rising in his throat. The enormity of their situation bore down on him. This wasn't just about them anymore. It was about survival. Look, he gestured to a door at the far end of the room. If we can get out through there, we might shoo. The woman abruptly hushed him, eyes wide. A shadow wavered just beyond the doorframe. The empire builder felt a chill creep down his spine. They're here, he muttered, panic bubbling at the edges of his voice. A sudden crash echoed as the door burst open. 3 masked figures surged into the room, their movements swift, predatory. There they are. One hissed, voice dripping with malice. The empire builder's mind raced. They were cornered. He looked to the woman and she met his gaze, a sense of raw, unyielding resolve rippling between them. It was time for action or surrender to despair. Without a moment's hesitation, he grabbed a rusted pipe that lay amidst the debris. Stay back, he shouted, rallying everything into his voice. The masked figures paused, surprise flashing in their eyes. Look at the hero, one scoffed, stepping forward. You think you can save them? You're nothing. In that instant, fear morphed into fury. The empire builder swung the pipe, a primal scream echoing in his ears. The noise reverberated through the room. The battle ignited. Run! He yelled back at the woman and boy. They didn't need to be told twice. As he defended their escape, they bolted past him, hearts pounding, feet pounding, their survival instinct inflamed. But as the empire builder fought, a sharp pain lanced through him. A knife grazed his side. He stumbled, a gasp escaping as he felt the heat of blood coat his skin. Could he hold on? Would they reach safety? He spun, ready to wield whatever means necessary, but ahead, he caught a glimpse of hope. A narrow stairwell spiraled upward. Go! He roared, a surge of desperation flooding his veins. The boy and woman hesitated, fear and trust warring in their eyes. But then the instinct to survive kicked in. The mother nodded, pulling her son toward the stairwell. As they ascended, the empire builder could only hope they'd find an escape. He was about to follow when the shadows lunged at him again. With one last, powerful thrust, he swung the pipe, catching one attacker off guard. The figure went down, but the others surged. He didn't have much time that he sprinted after them, pain screaming through his side. Could he make it before the door slammed shut behind them? No more second-guessing, no more choices. Each moment brought them closer to an uncertain future. Would they reach the top, or was it merely a final stand against the darkness they fled from? And as the empire builder pushed onward, a question loomed in the oppressive silence. What awaited them in the shadows above? The stairs spiraled upward, a desperate ascent into the unknown. The empire builder's breath came in quick, sharp gasps, a stark reminder of his injury. Blood seeped through his fingers, sticky and warm. He needed to keep moving, to push past the pain and reach the light that flickered above them. "Keep going," he shouted, his voice strained but fierce. The girl pressed on, urging her son forward, her heart pounding as if it might burst. Each new step echoed like a drum, a countdown to what lay ahead. Shadows stretched along the walls, alive and watching. The empire builder glanced back, expecting to see the glimmer of masked figures emerging from the darkness. But the stairwell was empty. For now. "Are they coming?" The boy whimpered, his grip on his mother's hand tightening like a vice. "I don't know," the empire builder replied, straining to hear any signs of pursuit. We have to reach the top." They finally reached a door at the end of the stairs, heavy and made of warped wood. The empire builder heaved against it, pushing with all his strength. "Help me," he called, desperation lacing his voice. The woman and boy rushed to his side, their bodies working together as they forced the door open. It creaked and moaned, revealing a rooftop cloaked in shadows. The night sky hung heavy overhead, a blanket of stars obscured by clouds. They stumbled out into the open air, the sense of freedom intoxicating if only momentarily. "Where do we go now?" the woman whispered, fear creeping back into her demeanor as she surveyed the vast expanse. "Find something to block this door," the empire builder urged, holding onto the pain in his side. "We can't let them follow us." The boy darted to a stack of old crates, tugging on one that looked heavy enough to barricade the door. Meanwhile, the empire builder leaned against the side of the building, feeling the chill of the breeze on his skin. It bit at him more fiercely with every passing second. His eyes darted around, searching for an escape route. The height gave them a potential advantage, but they were still vulnerable out in the open. He stumbled to the edge, peering down into the darkness below. "How far down?" he muttered, anxiety creeping in. "We could jump, but—" "Are you crazy?" the woman gasped. "We'd break our necks." The boy looked up at him, wide-eyed, desperation painting his features. "We can't stay up here. We'll get caught." Just then, shrill laughter rang out from below. The empire builder's heart dropped. The masked figures had arrived, gathered in the plaza, their voices echoing like a sinister chant. "They're here." He took a deep breath, battling the spike of fear surging through him. "Listen to me. We can't let them find us." He scanned the rooftop, spotting an old fire escape ladder attached to the side of the building. "We'll go down. We have to stay quiet." The woman nodded, rallying her resolve. They began to move toward the ladder, the ground slipping away beneath each cautious step. But before they could reach it, a thud echoed from the door behind them. They froze. The crash seemed to shatter the night. The masked figures had breached the barricade. "Run!" he barked instinctively, fear igniting the air around them. As they bolted toward the edge of the rooftop, the sound of footsteps thundered behind them, closing in ominously. The fire escape was their only hope. Would they escape down the ladder, or would they be ensnared in the web of terror that hunted them? Heart pounding, the empire builder launched himself toward the ladder, clambering down. Something cold brushed against his back, a warning chill he couldn't ignore. "Go, go," he urged, As the others followed, their descent frantic and urgent. Below them, the laughter grew louder, mixing with the thunder of their hearts. Would the shadows catch them? Or had they escaped into a deeper, darker night? And just as they reached the ground, the boys' screams sliced through the air, sharp and raw. Something or someone was waiting for them in the depths of the alley. The alley opened up like a gaping maw, dark and treacherous. The empire builder's heart raced as he landed on the cold, unforgiving pavement. He barely had time to catch his breath when he spun around, scanning their surroundings for signs of life or menace. His instincts screamed, the thrill of being hunted making the air thick and electric. "Is it safe?" the woman whispered, her eyes darting between the shadows. Behind them, the sound of raucous laughter faded, but it still echoed in the corners of his mind, a warning song that chanted of danger. "Not yet," he replied, gripping the boy's shoulder. "Stay close." The boy trembled as he clutched his mother's hand tighter, eyes wide with fear. They pressed forward, inching along the damp wall, trying to blend into the darkness. The alley twisted like a serpent, filled with dead ends and looming shadows. Each sound the clattering of rats. The wind rustling garbage seemed amplified, magnifying their fear. "Where do we go?" the boy asked, his voice barely a whisper. The empire builder hesitated, weighing their options. They couldn't go back. The chase would only intensify, and the masked figures waited just out of sight, hungry for them. But ahead, he could see a flicker of light spilling from an alleyway that forked to the right. "Let us move," he urged, determination winning over doubt as they tiptoed forward. The laughter suddenly shifted to a chorus of menacing shouts. "Find them! They want to escape!" The words tightened in his chest like a vice. That was their cue. "Run!" he shouted, heart pounding, propelling them deeper into the alley. They sped toward the light, legs pumping hard, adrenaline fueling their every step. The empire builder felt the sharp pain stab his side again, but there was no time to think about it. They needed to find safety, to find their way to a new beginning. Racing around the corner, they burst into a small courtyard encased by stone walls. The light revealed a crumbling building, its windows flickering with potential refuge. Inside, he gestured urgently, and they darted toward the door, but it was locked. His heart dropped. They had to hide, and fast. The woman's face twisted in panic. "What if they find us?" "Shoo!" he hissed, looking for a way in. Behind them, the footsteps grew louder, accompanied by the soft thuds of bodies closing in. In a moment of desperation, the empire builder shoved against the door again, and miraculously it gave way with a creak. They tumbled inside, the scent of mold and dust assaulting their senses. "Quick! Over there!" He pointed to an old broom closet in the dim room. The trio squeezed inside, pressing against the walls, hearts hammering in the suffocating dark. Outside, they could hear the masked figures gathering. The empire builder strained to listen, to hear any clue of their intentions. Were they searching, or were they just mocking? "Please, let them go away," the boy whimpered, shaking. "Stay quiet. They may not know we're here," he whispered fiercely, glancing at the woman beside him. They shared a grim understanding. Hope was dwindling. Suddenly, an ominous creak echoed as if someone approached. Their breath caught in unison. The world outside felt like a horror show, and within the confines of the closet, time stretched like an elastic band. Footsteps shifted, and heavy breathing sent shivers down their spines. A voice pierced through the tension. "Check every corner. They can't slip through the cracks." As dread thickened the air, the empire builder clenched his jaw, fighting against the urge to make a sound. Fear was a palpable entity, wrapping around them like chains, binding them to the silence. And then, just as the door creaked open, a chilling truth sliced through his thoughts. Who would they become when this was over? But even as that question lingered, another scream rippled through the air, one that didn't belong to them. This one was cut short, a heart-stopping reminder that they weren't alone in their terror. What awaited them when those masked figures finally found the closet? Would they pay the price for their escape, or Was there a destiny waiting that could change everything? The door rattled, hinges creaking ominously as if it sensed the impending confrontation. The empire builder's heart hammered wildly. He held his breath, urging the others to stay silent, to embody the shadows themselves. The darkness felt like a living thing, clinging to them, as if waiting to snatch hope right from their grasp. For a moment, the footsteps ceased outside. Panic seeped into the air. Were they looking for something, or someone? And then crash. The door swung open, revealing the dimly lit room. A figure in a mask stepped through, eyes scanning with ruthless intent. Spread out, he barked, like a predator reveling in the hunt. The moments stretched painfully, each second threatening to rip them apart. Time felt fragile, a thin thread ready to snap. Holding his breath, the empire builder felt tangible fear radiating from the boy. He squeezed the small shoulder beside him protectively. "Shoo," he whispered, the words slicing through the tension. The masked man moved deeper into the room, momentum gathering as the others followed like shadows slipping through the cracks. "Nothing here," one muttered dismissively, shifting to check behind a stack of crates. The empire builder's throat tightened. They were running out of time. In an instant, a flash of movement caught his eye. A thin gap behind the closet opened into a forgotten service corridor. "There," he hissed urgently, pointing at the narrow passage. "Out the back." The woman nodded, realizing the urgency mirrored in his eyes. She ushered the boy forward, her instincts igniting. "Now go," he urged, wise enough to trust that glimmer of hope over the mounting dread. They squeezed through the gap, one by one, almost gasping for fresh air. The world beyond felt like a lifeline, the unknown teeming with both danger and possibility. Once outside, it felt like stepping into a new reality. The air, a mix of copper and uncertainty, filled their lungs as they trudged into what looked like an abandoned lot. Rubble and broken glass crunched underfoot, remnants of battles fought long before they arrived. "Where do we go?" The boy whimpered, eyes darting. "North is the way out. We have to keep moving," the empire builder said, searching for anything familiar. But uncertainty lingered like smoke. Each step felt heavier. Then, faint voices echoed from behind the crumbling walls. They could be close. Just as they moved toward the edge of the lot, the haunting laughter surged again, growing nearer, more malicious. The masked figures had found their trail. "Run!" the woman instinctively shouted, adrenaline tearing through them as they sprinted towards a feeble fence at the far side of the lot. In that moment, the empire builder felt the weight of his choices crashing down like a wave that threatened to swallow them whole. Had he been selfish to drag the boy and the woman into this chaos? Or had his entire life of armies and empires led to this very moment, giving him the strength to protect what mattered most? Their feet pounded against the ground, urgency pulling them closer to the fence. The lot's boundaries loomed closer, a thin barrier between escape and capture. He could see the moonlight glinting beyond the rubble. Freedom shimmered on the horizon. "Just a little more," he urged, reaching the base of the fence. They each climbed over, breathless, moving as fast as they could. He could hear the shouts and stumbling behind them. They were gaining. The empire builder felt panic claw at his insides. As the last one scrambled over the fence, he turned, facing the oncoming threat. The masked figures sprinted closer, shadows against the darkness. But something in him exploded. He knew he couldn't let them take the child. Couldn't watch them destroy everything he struggled to protect. "Keep going," he shouted back, setting himself like a stone against the tide. The woman hesitated, fear evident in her eyes. "No, we can't leave you. You have to. Just run." He propelled them forward with an urgency strengthened by desperation. "Find safety. I'll hold them off." The fraught tension burst as the shadows surged. Each figure advanced, hunger in their eyes, and the empire builder stood unyielding, ready to meet whatever darkness awaited him. Just as they approached, he felt a swell of pride mixed with despair. This was his moment. He de-built his empire through pain and sacrifice. He could protect this family, this future. As he echoed a silent vow, ready to stand his ground, one of the masked attackers lunged. He sidestepped, adrenaline pumping through his veins like fire. The empire builder swung at the figure with sheer determination and felt a crunch below his fist. The sound reverberated through the air like a clarion call, awakening something in the others who fled. A sense of responsibility surged through him. This was more than just survival. This was about creating change in a world steeped in darkness. "Keep running. Go!" he screamed, adrenaline pulsing as the wind rushed past him, drowning out the noise of their danger and all else. With each breath, he felt the weight transform into strength, filling him with renewed resolve. He had fought too hard for what he believed in, not just for himself, but for those he loved, for the boy who deserved a chance at innocence. Would they truly leave him behind? The shadows around him twisted, thickening and crashing down. As they disappeared into the distance, voices stirred in the night, reaching for him like sirens. Yet he felt a shifting sense of clarity surge. He was no longer the broken immigrant, he was more. An empire builder whose foundations could weather this storm. And that last moment, clarity washed over him, a vision of his future and theirs, intertwined. The empire wasn't solely about power. It was about hope. When darkness fell beneath the weight of his defiance, all that lingered was determination. Whether it would change the world or only himself, only the dawn would tell. So he fought, not just for survival but for the dream that beckoned beyond the shadows. This was how an empire was truly built, through love, sacrifice, and an unyielding spirit. And this is the moment when you need to subscribe immediately to this channel so you don't miss the next gripping tale. Smash that like button now so our story reaches even more hearts. Flood that comments section with your reactions. How did you feel about this heart-stopping conclusion? And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this tale unfolded. You need to spread the word. Don't wait even one more second. Only true fans understand how important it is to support the channel. Let us keep this journey alive together.